Hello everyone, this is Franken and welcome to a new video. I don't know how to start this video because I don't do that many unscripted stuff. I rather have everything typed in because my thoughts are clearly laid out. But anyway, as you may have noticed, I haven't posted a video in May or June. My last video was about Elden Ring and how much I was enjoying the game. So before I start the video, I just want to give some context to what we're doing today and what has been happening in the past. I haven't been posting that many stuff because of university. I was focused on university. It was my final year. I finished it, but it was my last year. I was studying hard, trying to finish my project on time, and I couldn't publish anything. And that led to a burnout. And that burnout led to me not posting anything between May and June. And I was planning on doing a video on Sifu, but I got burned out. That idea in and of itself, I already have what I needed. I already have a script, it's not finished. And I just dropped it. I was really tired. I have been writing that script since May and my mind isn't getting joy from writing that, so I just put it on pause and I'll probably pick it up next year or when I feel excited enough to pick it up again. So today we are doing another video of A Few Words, which is a segment where I talk about games I've been playing. And as you've noticed, my previous A Few Words videos have been scripted and I touched on a single game. But due to the nature of my channel where everything is scripted, I don't think it is really viable for me to have everything scripted, or I would just burn myself out with the type of consistency that I want to have. So instead of scripting a single video for a single game, I decided to kind of keep this segment of A Few Words Unscripted, where at the end of each month I'll talk about games that I've been playing in an unscripted matter. I'm just gonna touch on some pros and cons and keep it lighthearted, you know? It should be fun. It should be some fun times that way. It should be some fun times. My English is biting me right now, so... Well, without further ado, I guess we can... Oh, before I start, as soon as this video comes out, I have another video on the plans. It's about a really obscure game. I will be mainly talking about its aesthetics, so I hope you'll be around to watch it. So with that out of the way, let's get to it. So the first one on the list is Assassin's Creed Liberation. I don't have that much to say on Assassin's Creed Liberation. It's a game that I've played before when it originally came out on the PS Vita, and I replayed it on the Switch. I was just randomly browsing through the eShop. I found the game was on sale and I thought, might as well pick it up and see how at least how Liberation was handled on the Switch. And let me tell you, it is unacceptable. That the performance on the Switch, and it's kind of understandable because it's a port of the original PC version where they HD it up, and they just brought that to the Switch without taking into consideration how the performance is gonna be. But surprisingly enough, I beat the game while the game was struggling to run at 30 FPS and literally running at 21 or lower. But other than that, I think it's a really good Assassin's Creed game. It doesn't push the boundaries, it just does what it needs to do. It introduces a few new elements like the persona system with the slave, the assassin, and the lady outfits. Combat is pretty much the same as Assassin's Creed 3 and the previous Assassin's Creed in that matter. And Evelyn is a really cool protagonist. I really wish she was fleshed out more, I feel. But all in all, it's an okay game. It's not perfect nor bad. It's just okay. It sits in the middle, and it's one of the few guilty pleasures for me when it comes to Assassin's Creed. I oddly love that game for some reason. It's a game that I'm actually willing to play it whenever I feel like it. But yeah, And after finishing Assassin's Creed Liberation, it really got me into a Assassin's Creed mood, if I do say so myself. I never played most of the Assassin's Creed games, at least the original games, people before the transition to the RPG games. I've played Unity, I've played Syndicate. Anything above Unity I've already played. I've played the first Assassin's Creed. I've never played the Ezio trilogy. I never played 3, so I know I'm missing out on some stuff. I never even played 4, so I know I'm missing on some good stuff that people love. So that made me jump to Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry, which was a standalone release for Assassin's Creed 4, I believe. It was given for free for PS Plus a few years ago, I think. And I remember playing it back in the day, but I never finished it because it was like, the gameplay is really weird. I don't think it suits for me, so I just dropped it. And that mood of Assassin's Creed, and given the game's short length, I decided to pick it up and see what's up. And it's okay. It's on the same level as Assassin's Creed Liberation. It's okay. It does its job. It's not that good, or it's not amazing or horrible. It's in the middle as well. The gameplay, everything is similar to Assassin's Creed 4. Adewale is a really cool character. I like I really love his mannerisms. Gameplay is really similar to Assassin's Creed 4, so not much to say there. And other than that, the only highlight from that experience is the chants the slaves sing when in the plantations. It's really catchy and really cool, given it's based on Asian chants from back in the day, so it's really cool. The third game I've been playing is Call of Juarez, Gunslinger, which is from Techland, the same developer from Dying Light. And I have to say, the game is really fun. You play as this sheriff, or retired sheriff, on a bar as he recounts his events with previous outlaws he's dealt with. And I have to say, the story is pretty simple and minimal. It's very spaghetti western, if you're acknowledged with the term, where it doesn't take itself too serious. It just plays on the western aesthetics for its benefit. And talking about gameplay, it is pure arcadiness. It's arcadiness. It's really good. It's really reminiscent of old arcade shooters, like visiting the arcades and not video games itself. But the shooting is really satisfying. It's really like arcadey. It's very video gamey, and I love video gamey stuff. You can equip shotguns, repeaters, revolvers, and the game even has a score system depending on which body part you shot, like in the head or in the chest, on the arms. It really incentivizes you to experiment and see how many points you can get on a single level. It is some really good stuff. Going back to the narrative, it's really not that complex. The ending is a nice twist, I guess, but the narrative is not that really complex. It doesn't touch on, serious themes and stuff. It's more like filler for the gameplay, and I'm really fine with that. It really drives the aesthetic and the gameplay really well. Other than that, the music was really good. It was really western and bombastic, and it flirts really well with the overall theme. And the fourth game that I beat was The Pedestrian, from developers Skullcom Arts, I think that's how you pronounce it, and I'm really sorry if I butchered, which is this really interesting puzzle game where you have this like fully 3D realistic world in the background, and you play as the stick figures in the signs on the streets, those signs in the street with for example, the sick man in the bathroom figure. You play as that. And majority of the puzzles, it's mostly platforming, where you have to connect this entrance to this entrance. You need to get the key to this key. There are later parts in the game where you have to literally play with plaques and move a plate on top of one to drop your stick figure in. It is extremely elaborate. It is really good. The puzzles are really smart and elaborate, and they can get really complicated, especially the last one, which can get really confusing. The presentation, as I mentioned before, it is visually striking. I really love it. And then they actually, no, let me actually save that, because that would be spoilers. You're allowed to experience that for yourself. It's a fun twist. And the narrative is actually really, I wasn't expecting this game to have a narrative the way the game ended. Again, that's jumping to spoilers, but I don't know, the game itself never gives, it kind of presents themes as you go through levels, but they're not that obvious. You're just moving from a section from a city to another. And the last few levels are really, oh, what the hell am I playing? It is really mindfucky, if that's the good term to use. So yeah, the game is currently available on Game Pass for both console and PC, and I strongly recommend it. You should give it a try. It is a really fun puzzle game. And the next game is Uncharted Golden Abyss, which I really wasn't expecting playing it in 2022 of all years. So I recently found my original PS Vita model while searching. I don't know that. Why am I using that complicated term? Well, I was searching through my luggage and I found my original model of the PS Vita. And I was like, oh man, I haven't seen you in a while. So I took it out, I charged it, put it up, and it is my cracked PS Vita because, hey, Sony is not paying that much attention to the Vita anymore. They're not giving it love. So let the community play around with it, you know. And I found a crap ton of games that I had installed, and Uncharted Golden Abyss was one of them. I actually still own the original copy, so I booted it up. It was the only Uncharted game that I've never played. I played it a little bit back in the day, but I never finished it. But it was the one Uncharted game that I've never played, and I've played all the Uncharted games. I really love that series. So I was playing through it. It wasn't made by Naughty Dog. It was made by Bend Studio, I believe, and the game is really good. It's literally on the same quality as the PS3 entries, and I wasn't expecting that. Not just the gameplay that was translated really well to the handheld, but the story itself. Of course, many people won't consider it on the same level of 3, and no, not 3. 3 is bad, but not in the same level of 2 and 1. But it is really compelling. It's actually on the same level of 1 since it takes place on a single location, which I always love stories that take place on a single location. And it works best with the Uncharted series. Yeah, the story is really heartfelt, it's really compelling. It really drives the gameplay forward in a really nice way. The gameplay itself it's 100%. It's a copy. It's a 100, not 100% copy, but like the movement, the shooting, everything is 100% copy from the PS3 entries, and it works really well. The climbing, the shooting, the hand-to-hand combat, it's everything is there. It's like you're playing a console Uncharted game on a handheld, which is the most insane part. And for the lack of controls, the game assigns, for the lack of buttons the PS Vita has, the game assigns some of those functions into the touchpad. For example, if you want to throw a grenade, you have to touch on the screen and specify in which direction you want to throw. If you want to climb ropes, you can you can rub the back of the Vita and Nate will climb, which is really weird but kind of endearing in a way. And of course, it's not 100% perfect. There are some small nuisances, which one of them being the aiming, which the Vita sticks are not that great for aiming the weapon, but you can always use gyro aim, which works fine. It works really well, and it mitigates some of the frustrations you may have with the game. Another nuisance is those stupid gimmicks they introduce, like the boss fights in these games are all quick time events. You have to swipe the screen, which is absolutely mental. I really can't imagine why they chose to do that. And I know they're dealing with a limited hardware with the Vita, but come on, quick time events where you're just constantly swiping the screen on a boss fight, I don't think that's really appropriate. It is extremely weird. And you know, there are people with disabilities who might not even be able to beat this game because of that, but alas, other than the boss fights, which were really weird and annoying, there are also some puzzles which require you to make use of the touchpad, which I don't have that much complaint about. The only annoying puzzle, which can actually soft lock you if you're playing on a PlayStation TV, is one where you have to point your Vita at a source of light. The game expects you to maybe point it at the sun, but just taking your phone flashlight will just solve the puzzle. It only appears once in the game, so it is not that severe, but that puzzle, it's a gimmick and it's extremely annoying. But other than that, it is the gameplay foundation, and the gameplay foundation on that handle is really solid and it works really well. And the music is on the same, it's from a different composer, I forgot his name, but it's on the same level of Greg Edmondson's work, with like that bombastic, the trumpets and, you know, the other instruments. It is extreme and I really love it. Like, the original trilogy of Uncharted have some of my favorite soundtracks in gaming period. I love those soundtracks. It's so cinematic and bombastic and action-packed, and the Vita still retains that, which is really mind-blowing and really cool. So yeah, I strongly recommend you playing Golden Abyss. It's not perfect, the performance is not perfect, you may experience some frame drops, especially in explosions, and the resolution is really low, but for the Vita screen it works. But other than that, you should really play Uncharted Golden Abyss. It will be worth the nuances for that experience, trust me. And I really hope someday Uncharted or Sony take a look at the game and bring it to the PS5, which is really weird why they didn't bring it to the Nathan Drake collection back when the first 3 games were remastered. But oh well, never say never, I guess. If Gravity Rush, which is pretty niche compared to Uncharted, got a remaster, then I'm hopeful someday Golden Abyss gets a remaster. But that's it. And finally, I've played Red Dead Redemption 2, which funnily enough is a game that I've been actively avoiding ever since it came out, and for some good reason, I think. Because I have to admit, and I think other people feel the same about this, but I'm really cynical of Rockstar these days, ever since GTA 5 released. I love GTA 5, don't get me wrong. The gameplay is king in that game, and I really love it. But the story really didn't do it for me. I wasn't a big fan of the writing. Franklin, I liked Franklin because Franklin was that odd character where in this crazy satire world that Rockstar created, he was kind of like the glue of keeping everything sane. But other than that, the story really didn't grab my attention. It was really, I don't know. I'll just say I'm not a big fan of it. I like some of the characters though. Trevor is a bit insane for me. I kind of don't like him. He's likable, but I wouldn't call him like a person I would like to spend an afternoon with. Michael is like the typical Rockstar protagonist, where the character is really jaded with the world and stuff like that. And yeah, and the next thing is GTA Online, which I don't play that much. I only play with friends when they invite me. I actually don't play GTA Online at all. I only play when friends invite me. And to see the way Rockstar has been constantly updating the game is not actually bad. I'm really glad it's actually really cool seeing how they've been supporting the game over the years and turning into this like big thing. But as a consequence, as Rockstar and Take-Two and both Rockstar saw the amount of money coming in, they just fully dedicated themselves to GTA Online, and even Red Dead Online is suffering from it because I think they recently announced that they're shutting support for that game, which is really unfortunate. I've played a little bit of it and it's fun, but yeah, those two things kind of got me jaded of Rockstar games, and I really used to love them back in the day. They were like this. They were like Monolith Productions, the Fear developers and Shadow of Murder developer, where you could never expect what they would make next. Of course, they have the GTA, which is their big series, but other than that, you had Manhunt, you had Bully, The Warriors, you had Midnight Club, which for God's sake, I think Rockstar forgot about this game and let it die in a ditch. But yeah, I miss the old Rockstar. Chop up the soul, Rockstar. Yeah. I miss that old Rockstar where they used to experiment a lot. And I think ever since Red Dead Redemption 2, they, instead of having all of their 23 studios, I believe, it's the amount they have, instead of having them working on projects individually, they just now work as a B group. And I think they're probably doing that thing for GTA 6. So yeah, as I was saying, those two elements, the GTA 5 as a whole and the way Rockstar has been in the last few years, kind of got me jaded for playing their next games, and I really avoided Red Dead Redemption 2 for that reason. So I got a new PC. It is really powerful. It has an RTX Core i12 Intel and an RTX 3070 Ti on it. It is really powerful. I can play games at 60. I couldn't do that with my previous computer, which was a 1050 Ti and an i7 Intel CPU. The most I could do was 1080p 30, but now with this new laptop I can do 1440p high frame rates, which is really cool. And I thought, right now Red Dead Redemption 2 is on sale. It's on PC, and my PC is powerful. It's like bucks falling into the perfect place at the right time. So I just said, hey, F it. And I finished university around the time, so I said, F it, let me spoil myself and purchase Red Dead Redemption 2 and at least play a bit of it instead of judging it the way I've been trolling my friends saying the game is crap and whatnot. But yeah, I'm glad to say that I was wrong. Like after 3-4 hours with it, I was fallen in love with the game. The game is amazing. I wasn't expecting to say that in a Rockstar game in a while, but Red Dead Redemption 2 is easily one of their best games that has come out recently. So first, the narrative. In the first Red Dead Redemption, you play as John Marston and him kind of hunting down the last members of the Dutch gang to get them arrested so they can release his wife and his son. In Red Dead Redemption 2 is a prequel. You play as the inception of not the inception, you're kind of in the middle of it, where you play with the Dutch gang, where there's a job that goes wrong in Blackwater, and now you're trying to escape from the police and trying to find Dutch is, I have a plan. And yeah, it's just them trying to escape and finding a plan to, survive the wilderness and find a safe space to live by. And the setup is really simple, but what they did with the narrative, especially the characters, the story itself is really simple, but the structure, the characters, the moment-to-moment events, they are really, really captivating. And I really love that. Arthur is probably one of Rockstar's best characters. I really love him. I love him to the point that by the end, when the game ended and you play as John Marston, it really didn't feel the same, because Arthur is like that uncle that everyone likes at the party. And I don't know, seeing him gone and now you get to play as John, I really miss this voice. He has this John, by the way, I think it's Ethan Clark, the actor's name. I'm really sorry, I'm forgetting, but his actor, he is amazing. Arthur's voice is unique. He's a really distinctive character. I really love when it says, come here boy, you've been a good boy. I love the way he talks to people. His voice is really, really is really appropriate for the time, the way people talk back then, the accent I mean. And yeah, I love Arthur. He's like my uncle that I wish he never died. And speaking of him dying, the way he died was it wasn't a heroic death you come to expect from media of this caliber. It was natural. Everything felt natural. Arthur contracted tuberculosis. It's a relatively simple thing. It sounds simple on paper, but seeing his health degrade when you get diagnosed, and seeing his face like he's constantly ill, I don't know, it is really depressing. It really helps set the mood for the ending, and I really love that. Other than that, gameplay is pretty standard. I know the open world is, since it's in the Old West, Rockstar here relies more on systems rather than big events or stuff to do to flesh out Red Dead's world. And the gameplay is really straightforward. They're still using the same template from GTA 4, where the physics reign supreme over character control. So you have your character weirdly spinning around like you have your character moving like he's a sack of meat, which is realistic, but for the sake of convenience is not that cool. Isn't the same way as GTA 5. The shooting, I really hope. I don't like the shooting. It's really weird. Rockstar, they're like this big company and they still haven't got their shit together when it comes to two things: mission design, in the way they deal with giving you freedom of expression of how to tackle a situation, because they are really strict and linear in the ways they want you to finish their missions, and I don't really like that. I never did. I like it, and it's because it's really contrasting when you compare it to the open world, where you can pretty much do anything as long as it's within the rules. And GTA Online, and then the missions themselves, don't you dare try to flank an enemy or you get a game over screen, which is really stupid. And the second of all is shooting. Do we really need to auto aim at enemies to deal with the fact that the shooting controls themselves are not that great? Like, come on, Rockstar, I know you can do better. If you have the money and time to invest in these like beautiful worlds and characters and stuff like that, you can work on the shooting. It's the least you can do. But yeah, that's everything I have to say from the gameplay. I don't have that much to say about it. I'm not impressed. I'm not disappointed either. It's just, well, I'm kind of disappointed because it's like GTA 4 came out in 2008 and Red Dead came out in 2019, between 2018 and 2019, and it's like, come on, it's been almost a decade. You could have worked out the gameplay scheme, but oh well. No more complaining for me. Next, the music. I have to say this, Woody Jackson is one of the greatest composers Rockstar has around. I think he's been working with them ever since the first Red Dead, I believe, and he's stuck around with GTA 5 as well, which I really love that soundtrack. Actually, the Red Dead soundtrack got me re-listening to the GTA soundtrack, believe it or not, but I have to say Woody Jackson is amazing. The many themes he composes. I love the way he experiments with traditional and experimental elements in his music. For example, in the mission of something and sheep, where you have to guide the sheep, and then you enter this bar, and it's during Valentine, where Dutch gets ambushed, and what was his name? John and some other characters get held at gunpoint by the Pinkermans. And then there's all this whole shootout. The music is really interesting and unique. It's like this really weird xylophone that's playing in the background. It's really childish, but on the background you have like this serious Western tone, and it gels really well. It is really amazing. And you have the second mission where you have to, and you have another mission that I really love, which is another highlight, where you have to deliver this letter to that love couple, and you have this music playing in the background, and it's really chill. I can't remember right now how it sounded, as in the specific term for the genre of music that we're using, but it is really well done. I really love that track. And finally, the ending, the final mission. I think the name is American Venom, the name of the track, and it sets the tone perfectly for that final shootout. It is really amazing. So once again, Rudy Jackson, he deserves all the accolades he needs because he's amazing at what he does. I think that's everything I have to say about Red Dead Redemption 2. It's an amazing game. I wasn't expecting it to be that amazing, but it is really good. And yeah, I don't think I have to tell you to play it because I'm pretty sure that everyone watching this video has played at least the first game in Red Dead Redemption 2. So props to you, I guess. The game it's amazing. It's a masterpiece. Well, it's not a masterpiece because there's those minor nuisances that annoy me, but it is a really good game. And with that, we have reached the end of this video. I just checked all the audio files that I have recorded for this conversation, and it is literally 31 minutes, which I wasn't expecting. I didn't know I could talk this much, but I hope you enjoyed the video and me talking, because I think you all deserve to hear my voice for 30 minutes, I guess. And I hope you're having a good time. I hope you're chilling. I hope you're staying hydrated. Please stay hydrated because the summer is killing people, and I don't want you babies to dehydrate. So drink plenty of water and electrolytes. Other than that, I hope you liked the video. Subscribe if you are not subscribed, give a like, share it with friends and people, and stay tuned because I'm already working on a new video on a game, on a really old game where as I've said it in the intro, I'm mainly exploring its visual aesthetics, and it should be and it should give an interesting, it should be an interesting video. It's like a really regular scripted professional type of stuff that I really love to record. So yeah, once again, everything that I said before, please stay hydrated for the love of God, for the love of everything in this world. Stay hydrated, and I hope I see you next time. Goodbye.